Don't be such a square. Everybody use anybody drink.
Yeah, only when I'm drunk. Only when I'm drunk. Alright, think I'm feeling a little better. Ready to bust this. Yeah, only when I'm drunk. Only when I'm drunk. Yeah, only when I'm drunk. Only when I'm drunk. Alright, think I'm feeling a little better. Ready to bust this. Yeah, only when I'm drunk. Only when I'm drunk. Yeah, only when I'm drunk. Only when I'm drunk. Alright, think I'm feeling a little better. Ready? Yeah, only when I'm drunk. Yeah, only when I'm.
And now,
Yeah, only when I'm drunk. Only when I'm drunk. Alright, think I'm feeling a little better. Ready to.
Here we go. My bad. Oh shit, let me turn this shit down. So I got the other laptop today. Not faking on you this time. Time is up and everything. Oh, I did fake on you. Okay. Where is this? Oh, okay. I get you. Oh, I put them too far down for y'all to see them. There we go. So how you doing? First time on Kick. Hello everybody out in Rumble. My main man on YouTube. Dank Tech, how you doing? Sorry it took me a while to get everything up on the back end. Cheers to you, Dank Tech. Jonathan, how you doing? Good morning to you on this Sauced Out Sunday. I'm going to check a couple videos out. I got a video on vermicompost and a couple videos on vermicomposting, which is basically red wiggler worm droppings. The system they have is you basically put the food on top, have the worms live in the middle, and on the bottom is the waste. They climb up, eat the food, then digest the waste. And that is extremely nutrient dense and rich. You only need about a tablespoonful to really boost the vibrance, the softness, the moisture absorption, nutrient uptake of the soil. All right. Good morning. How's everyone doing out there? Y'all having a good weekend so far? I hope. Well, I didn't know Kick had commercials. That's interesting. All right. So, I'm about to, I think next week actually, the original haze plant, the smaller of the two, I say smaller, but it's like 10 foot. That seems to be showing a lot of browning on the hairs of it. So I'm thinking about doing a live stream of harvesting it. It's going to be tough. I'm going to try and set up 2 cameras. I don't know how that's going to work, but I figured that'd be pretty interesting to see me go through the process of trying to take down such a massive tree. I'm still going to bud wash it. So I'm going to have 3 or 4 buckets out there because the plant is so massive. And kind of go through the finalization process of the whole season, the garden vlog, as I put it. Paulie Paul, salute. Wild Bill, good morning. How y'all doing out there? We simul streaming on Rumble, Kick, and YouTube. I'm glad everybody is here. Everybody enjoying themselves. I see the chat had some great conversations, so I'm glad everybody made it back in. Let's go ahead and go into, let me prime this video up real quick. Okay. We're going to cut the music real quick. This is the... All right, there we go. So get the video primed. I'm doing well. I'm doing well, Paul. Enjoying myself as always. If I'm not editing, I'm working, but this is kind of my day to, I guess, not try and be a perfectionist and just relax and enjoy. Everybody I've met everybody who's watched my videos, anybody I've learned anything from. So just to kind of hang out, something I do anyway, spend my Sunday relaxing. But I figure, you know, hey, let's show some things that help me learn along the way and talk to everybody on a, I guess, more personal, interactive level. That's something I enjoy. All right, let me do this real quick. I don't like the position of this. There we go. And so, okay. I gotta move this away. Okay, my bad. There we go. That's better. Now, this is on Vermicomposting. This is, I believe this video is from Cornell University, a little demo. But it explains the benefits. And let me know if you can hear this in the chat. Okay. Yeah, I hope you can hear this.
Vermicomposting is a green technology that can be used to convert agricultural and other organic wastes into valuable living soil amendments. When used in a potting mix for greenhouse production, vermicompost provides a renewable source of plant nutrients. The microorganisms in vermicompost can protect seedlings from disease.
Okay, so that's pretty much the first benefit. From my understanding of vermicompost, I'm still young into it, about 2 years of studying, but after I kind of start learning and it starts to be overkill, like, okay, I get it, I get very disinterested. But from what I can recall, you can pretty much go up to half soil, half vermicompost from germination all the way to a finished product, and it will get rid of disease, help with growth, nutrient uptake. I mean, it's thousands of benefits to this. This is something that is huge in India, I guess Africa, Australia, because it is extremely low cost. Once you get these worms going, you could take 100 worms, and I believe in 6-month process, they will double, and, you know, double from there. So, you know, 100 to 200 to 400 to 800. And this pretty much, I guess, the initial cost of the worm bin or make it yourself, and the worms about $20 to $30, I guess. And you'll never have to worry about fertilizer again. Or black gold, yes. Yeah, it from what I understand, it takes about 2 years to make pure castings, and I get it. You constantly kind of have to keep refeeding the initial waste, I guess. It comes out very soupy mud. You put that back on top of the worm bin for the worms to digest that one more time, and it starts to become a little harder and like little pellets, little tiny granules, and that's actually the casting. But the vermicompost it does, I don't want to say just as well, but it does a nice job. I think you'd have to replenish it a little more than the castings. But one of the videos I'm going to show, I don't know if I edited it correctly, but the guy was saying in Imperial China, they would take a scoop, like handful of earthworm castings, and place that on the emperor's tea, like the plants that grew the tea for him, and that's all they would do all year, once a year. So if the emperor is pleased, and if you know anything about like feudal imperial China, yeah, they didn't play. So that's an impressive feat, I think, and it really hasn't evolved too much since then.
Vermicomposting relies on earthworms, but the worms don't do it alone. The compost food web is an underground ecosystem fueled by decaying organic matter.
Okay.
Most of the action is microscopic. Single-celled bacteria and fungi are the primary decomposers.
Now, I never microscope. What's dude, Matt Powers? He's big on microscoping. And I understand it's interesting to see. It's very fulfilling. But I don't care to get into gardening this deep, quite honestly. Once I learned natural farming, KNF, I tried just to keep it with natural farming. Which is a derivative of what Japanese natural farming. But once you kind of replicate the forest and I guess put the inputs, the amendments to kind of keep the system going, once you get the IMO going, I mean, what more do you really need? I think once you find a system that works, I understand there are other systems out there, but if it works for you, that's probably the best way to go. And I get it would be nice to see the stuff in the microscope, but seeing the I guess the symptom, which is how the plants are, like the health of the soil will be shown in the plant. And I don't really ever see any, I only see praying of leaves, especially outdoor. So I don't see the need to go this far. Yeah, he's huge on the soil food web. Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking him. I mean, he's a genius. He's to the point where he can take what he learned from Elaine Ingram in the soil food web and keep going and going and going, and where to the point where he's almost his own Elaine Ingram. I mean, let's be honest. Except I guess he doesn't have a doctor behind him, but in the field, the results show. Yeah, Matt is nice. Oh man, out of a 2x4, that's incredible. Yeah, wow, Bill, that's incredible that you did that. Um, what I be saying on YouTube, a bunch of people like 13 ounces, 12 ounces, and stuff like that in a 2x4. So that's impressive. It's trim gel. Yeah, it gets to the point where your height and like, oh, I didn't even put a dent in trimming. I'm glad you finally got out of trim gel. Okay, I guess like in a monopoly way. So now it's just a matter of curing, which I'm kind of honestly trying to get more into that. Um, what was the crap we saw the other video when we was talking about drying and harvesting? It was the vaponator, that machine that pretty much he was claiming in like 4 to 6 days you would have cured weed. So I'm still trying to go the traditional way, but I like the builder soil method when he was talking about like drying it in the same conditions that it's pretty much going to be curing in, so it's getting a longer cure overall in essence. Yeah, that's a good question. How many plants? 3 weeks in a dry tank? Okay, dang. Dang. I know that's a long time, but that's actually a benefit. That chlorophyll is broken down. That is all good. So it shouldn't take long in a jar.
Protozoans graze on bacteria and help cycle nutrients. Earthworms used for
Soil food
composting
web.
ingest organic matter and microbes and excrete casts, which in turn stimulate additional microbial activity. You can almost think of the earthworms as microbe farmers. Earthworms are hermaphrodites, meaning that they have both
Okay,
male
they really
and
went
female
far. I didn't know,
reproductive
y'all.
organs.
Sorry.
When two worms mate, a tight band of mucus forms around their bodies, which later becomes a cocoon containing fertilized eggs.
Now, I guess to kind of make that exciting, that was the point I was talking about, where within 6 months you can pretty much double their colony. So, like they said, all they have to do is touch and make contact, and the joint gets pregnant. What was it? I realize it might be insensitive, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I don't care. That you touch us, you look at a Spanish girl and you get her pregnant. So I guess it's like that. You touch them, you get them pregnant. Is literal. There is a thing on this earth.
Several weeks later, hatchlings emerge from the cocoon.
Nice. Hold on. 3 autos.
Microarthropods, including mites and springtails,
6
prey on microorganisms
man.
and each other.
That's impressive.
Pseudoscorpions are related to true scorpions. They are top predators, feeding on mites and springtails. Vermicompost is a complex living system that nourishes and sustains plant life.
Okay, it's like a breakdown of the soil food web.
Most commercial greenhouses rely on synthetic chemical nutrients in their potting mixes to produce vegetable transplants.
And that goes in your
Greenhouse
stuff.
growers and researchers are looking into non-synthetic alternatives. Organic materials, like vermicompost, can provide a source of plant nutrients that are derived from renewable
Yeah, they are
resources.
amazing.
Today we're looking at green peppers. This one we started with
Oh,
base, which
I didn't know
consists
that.
of vermiculite, perlite, peat moss, and dolomitic lime.
Okay.
And this one is the base with 10% vermicompost. And this one, which is the best one, is
20.
the base, vermicompost, and green sand,
Okay. Oh,
rock phosphate, and blood meal.
nice.
Temperature is an important factor in using vermicompost for nutrient management in the greenhouse.
So I don't know what I've seen green sand. I'm aware of it. I don't exactly know what that is, but it seemed like to me that what the rock phosphate was the phosphorus, the blood meal was the nitrogen, and a couple other trace minerals. So I'm guessing green sand is like the potassium portion of it, but they added that with the vermicompost, the earthworm castings, and pretty much that did the best. So the results speak for itself. It's undeniable. Like I guess what I was saying about Matt Powers, doctorate or not, once you see plants outperforming other plants, what you got to say? And the fact that you got a doctorate and he doesn't, and he's doing results like that, what's that got to say about your doctorate, I guess? Puts things in perspective.
Since the release of nutrients in this living soil amendment depends on microbial activity.
It's easy to work with, it flows nicely, it
What is
doesn't
green
clump up, and it's easy to mix in our soil mixes.
Oh yeah, let me look up green sand.
The microbes found in vermicompost can help protect plants from disease. Pythium aphanidermatum is an oomycete plant pathogen that attacks germinating seeds and has a host range of over 50 crop species. Sporangia are a stage in the asexual
What's the
development
green
in
sand?
Pythium. Sporangia produce spherical vesicles.
Okay.
Cytoplasm from the sporangia streams into the vesicle where it cleaves into kidney-shaped zoospores. When the zoospores are fully formed, the vesicle breaks and the zoospores are released. When zoospores are exposed to chemical signals released from germinating seeds, represented here by the blue gradient, they use their flagella to swim
Okay,
towards
this
the
ain't
seed.
what I expected. Hold on, we're
This
about to get to
behavior is
another
called
video.
Chemotaxis, or directional
shit.
swimming using a chemical gradient.
Wrong computer. Sorry. I thought it was about to get the straight facts, like benefits. Hey, this is what it does. These are the nutrients it provides. This is how you get them. This is how you make a box. Okay. I checked out Green saying it basically, what does it say? Loosely applied as a glutonic sediment, so it basically sounds like some kind of fat. It's made from sandstone, has a greenish color. This term is specifically applied to shallow marine sediment that contains noticeable quantities of rounded greenish grains. These grains are called glossines and consist of a mixture of mixed layer clay minerals such as smectite and glauconite. Okay, so it's, I guess, also
When
like
they
a
reach
base.
the germinating seed, they shed their flagella and attach to the seed. The encysted zoospores germinate and
I don't
cause
care.
infection.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to say that out loud. Here we go. Okay. Facts.
Scientists are currently
facts.
working to understand the microbial mechanisms responsible for the biological control of plant pathogens in order to make this practice more effective for growers. Vermicomposting is an organic waste recycling method that keeps these materials out of our landfills.
True.
In 2008, EPA estimates show
Okay,
that although
okay.
recycling and
Hold on.
composting rates are on the rise,
I'm not along for this ride. What the heck did they show? Yeah, let me get out of this. I'm about to switch videos up. My bad. Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know it was that. I'm sorry. In the pursuit of trying to give you live reactions, sometimes I goof. The timer, okay, yeah, and also hold on, what is it? Happy Frog that you use, Wild Bill, and shit, what was the other one? Happy Frog was the flower, I believe, and fuck, I forget the first one. But yeah, your plants look happy. There's an aura around seeing them, like you can kind of feel the energy of the happiness that they have. That's the impressive part about the plants. It's not just that it grows or grows buds. It's how happy they look, how vibrant and healthy they are. It proves that there's an abundance of minerals for it to uptake, and it's not lacking for anything. That's the beauty of it. No problem mix. The no problem mix. Hey, I would make a video about that. This is my no problem mix. Like, title it no problem. Like, that's kind of that's a nice little cliche there. Pro mix HP. Okay, pro mix. HP version. Like the what the heck I was watching? Oh, it was Jackie Chan. He has a show. I forget the name of the app, but he's got a little web series or whatever. It's like 8 episodes. He goes through the grow season, and the head grower he had was like, this is his 10-pound recipe. So yeah, I think you having the no problem recipe, that sounds pretty fitting. So let me get out of here because I was very disappointed with that video. We did get kind of an overview. I shouldn't be too mad. We did get kind of an overview of we did get an overview of what was that? Hold on. I put on the wrong shit. No, okay, yeah, this is what I want to see. I'm sorry, I actually put things in a folder this time to try and stay organized. And I'll actually give you some weight too, lady. I gave them a big screen. I'm going to give you a big screen too. So let's see what you got. Please tell me I don't got to mess with the volume. Okay, cool. So this is the last video we saw was from Cornell University. Now it's been so long since I actually saw it, but it's actually a lecture that's like 2 hours long talking about the benefits and like the history of vermicompost. And that's almost what I mean about the overkill. Once you watch about 3 lectures on a subject that are like 2 to 3 hours a piece, I mean, what more can you really say about the subject? Somebody who's a scholar has kind of surmised it and condensed all of the industry in 2 or 3 hours. I mean, you can't do much more than that. How many different versions of a condensing can you hear where it's the same information over and over again, where you're like, okay, I need to get more. Yeah, I've got like second, third, fourth opinions on most of this stuff. And really, yeah, just rely on the results. To keep it fun, I think also trying to, like, basically being in the dark, having that little bit of, I hope this works, or I hope this does what it does. I made the concoction correctly, made the fermentation correctly, I should say, for the inputs, if it's a vinegar or if it's a FPJ or something. And then also, like, how will the plant receive it? Is the plant receiving it well? Like, that little bit of hope keeps it going, because at least for me, it's starting to get mundane. I know the plants are going to grow. It's weed. There's not much I can really do to help, especially outdoors. So the more I'm in the dark, the more fun it is to me and keeps me going. Okay. Nice. Build a soil. Yeah, you can't beat them. I'm actually going to show a video later from Clankamascoot, speaking of that. And he's really the source and the inspiration behind Build a Soil. Clankamascoot. That's Jeremy's friend. And they're actually on a couple podcasts together on Future Cannabis Project. So I thought it'd be nice to kind of show, I guess, how it all started at the beginning. Like I say, I'm just kind of going through the videos that I watched that I found very insightful, that took me, you know, kept me progressing on my journey. Oh, and Paul, I hope you heard that answer for green sand. It seems like it's a sediment. It's a greenish tint sediment from the ocean floor that consists of clay and glucose or something. So it just sounds like a mineral base, like a loose form of soil, so to speak. So mixing that with the vermicompost and rock phosphate and what's the other thing, the blood meal, I can kind of see how that would get off. Yeah, build a soil is nice. And I think they're inspiring too. I mean, I don't want to underemphasize that. I think that the build a soil dude kind of shows us all that through the joy of growing, there's a lane for you to get into. I think about I used to cut hair a long time ago, so the TV was always on, and there was, I guess, the mid-2000s, this series, American Gangster. And it would talk about different drug dealers who, you know, I guess made millions or whatever. But there was this one guy in particular who, in the 70s, all he did was sell cut. He worked at like a pharmaceutical lab, and he said that they would cut heroin with, I forget what the shit was, but he was like, that was perfectly legal. So that's basically how he made his money, was selling a legal product that they used to cut into drugs. And I kind of realized most things the bigger industries are some kind of addiction or drugs, whether it's coffee, cigarettes, like you want to get people addicted to your product, sugar, however it is. So if you can find a way, like people love weed, especially if you love weed, to kind of turn your hobby or your passion into a career, that's something that was like big in the late 90s. But that's something I'm kind of trying to work on. Oh, I forgot about this. My wife didn't like it, but welcome everyone to the greatest growing show on the internet on Sunday. My statement's true once you add that caveat. Yeah, but yeah, I'm trying to turn this into entertaining. Trying to make growing more fun, especially the times we're growing into. Even if it's not cannabis, this is beneficial for just to live. That's something I've been trying to incorporate into me growing weed, is to try and, like, let me grow some peppers, let me grow some tomatoes, something to kind of, I guess, sidetrack my attention from just straight up growing, and I don't want to just be like, hey, I'm a ganja farmer, even though I got my ganja farming boots. But other people can use this. That is the other benefit. Just because you primarily grow weed, if you know somebody who would benefit off of growing non-medicinal plants, as they say, some radishes or some beets or something like that, some squash, definitely inspire them and let them know the information. I guess we didn't all start out growing weed, or maybe we did, but passion for life is kind of how I look at it, for nurturing something and seeing it to its fruition. I see. I know a lot of y'all in the chat too are big into seed collection and whatnot, and that's the other thing that's kind of I guess something to take pride in. What am I trying to say? Is another achievement, something else to enjoy off of growing. I've been growing radishes in the same place for, this is like 2 years, but they grew 4 different times. And I let them grow basically till they seeded, dropped in place, and they pretty much went from the left to the right, from the right to the left. And even though I'm not using it as much, I'm kind of using it more so to break up the soil. It is amazing to see, like, life really wants to live. It's a dumb way of putting it. But here we go. Let's get into this video. Dang, I've been talking that long about nothing.
We found some noticeable plant differences in growing tomatoes.
I'll be right back. My eyeballs are swimming,
if you look
as
at
they
the
say.
orange line at the top, you can see that worm power overall produced the largest plants. And this makes sense. If you'll remember from that previous chart, it had the highest levels of nutrients. The Terravesco, the other manure-based material, had decent plant growth, but still, when you applied 20% of that vermicompost, you were only equal to around 5% of the worm power vermicompost. So you're applying 4 times as much material to get a similar plant growth. And then the Vital Earth and Vermitechnology down here did not perform well as fertilizers. So next we'll look at the peppers we used in these same substrates. And what you see that with peppers, at a certain point, past the 10% application rate, there was a decrease in growth. And peppers are not as heavy of a feeder, so they don't require as high a level of nutrients as the tomatoes do. And again, Terravesco performing
Still got it.
the second for the weight of plants, but still needing quite a bit of it to get an equal level as the
Yeah, my bad.
fresh weights. And then these Vital Earth and Vermitechnology down here, not contributing a lot to plant growth.
Sorry about that. What did I miss? Yeah, my bad. Still ran a 4.240. I still got it. I still got it. That's cool. That's cool. It is nice also to give the stuff out when I stopped growing squash, because that shit is, you'll get like 60 squash off of one plant. But it is a nice feeling to give it away. I haven't been successful with my melons the past 2 years, but I guess about 4 years ago, we had watermelons, and we gave about 8 of them away. We had so many. But that is a very, very, very nice feeling to give people the fruits of your labor. And I also kind of like to look at that as a business card in a way. Like, hey, I grew this. This is possible for you to do too if you tried. Whoever be so worthy should possess the power of though. But tomatoes, people love that crap. That's one of them things, I guess, like all the produce, something you would definitely take and eat, but I ain't about to buy no grapes. Oh, hell yeah, I'll eat them all up. Tomatoes, oh hell yeah, but yeah, I ain't about to buy no tomatoes. So it's nice that you did. You basically gave her the best parts of the salad. Yeah, compost. Yeah, compost is pretty much the easiest thing. That's really all you need. Um, yeah, like I said, the Clankamascoot thing. I don't know if I got that portion of the seminar either. I don't know if I edited it. I was trying to just stick to where he was talking about his worm bin because he uses a 30% mix, and then I have a video on a person showing his mix in action. But studying different island. Oh, my fault. That actually wasn't him. I'm sorry, it wasn't Clankamascoot. He did talk about island growing, but how did people pretty much who had no outside source to get any inputs feed thousands of people? And vermicompost, regular compost, the different inputs, the animal droppings, the things that they used, and they were able to sustain life. I don't think that really ever goes away. Just because we have modernized our technology, it doesn't mean our systems intake things any different. And I guess plants would fall right in line with that.
But they could still be used as a fertilizer or a substrate amendment, not so much as a fertilizer. And here we have a photograph of one of the treatments, or two of the treatments, where we have the worm power on the top and the vital earth on the bottom, just so you can get a visual of the differences in plant growth. How small these ones on the bottom actually were.
Come on, lady.
So that takes us to the next trial that we conducted, and we used vermicompost from worm power this time, and applied it at 0 to 12% in 2% increments.
So that's basically it right there. I mean, yeah, I'm realizing now, and this video is almost over. She must not have really said anything because I'm not seeing no stats at the end. But it helps with every portion. It's not just necessarily how it benefits the plants. It really benefits the soil. It helps to give it that fluff, sponginess, moisture retention. And not only can the plants uptake it, the first video we were showing, that was the reason they were showing the protozoa and the nematodes and everything else, because they thrive off of it as well. That's food for them, and that helps to break down bigger materials that the plants actually need. So it is the soil food web, the circle of life.
By volume, and planted seedlings, or planted seeds, and germinated these.
I'm gonna just go to Clank. I'm sorry, yeah. Now I'm starting to think, because I guess realistically I had about 4 bad videos out of 10. And from, I guess, trying to be honest, it wasn't exactly as fun as I thought it would be. So I might have to start watching the videos ahead of time. You got 2 worm bins, one for veg and the other for flower. That's smart. That's smart that you have 2 different worm bins. I actually apply that, a veg JLF and a flower JLF. But the worm bin would probably make more sense, depending on what you feed them, the results that you're going to get. And I mean, realistically, that's all the plant needs. How much can that's a good question. I'm gonna try and find that out. That might be next week's show. I know I'm sure that these plants are going to be ready to harvest. So I'm gonna try and do that next week. Do the live harvest stream on the original haze. But what made me, I guess, sidetrack was how much nutrients does a plant actually uptake? I mean, that will really that question is really more important than anything, like how beneficial minerals are to a plant. Like, okay, vitamins, my prime example. Okay, you giving me 500, 200% of my daily allowance. So, okay, how much am I really retaining of this? Is the real question. How much vitamin can I uptake in a day max? More importantly than how beneficial something is. So, yeah, the different inputs is pretty much I get the diversity part where you want to give plants a little bit of everything. Sometimes they probably do want more of a vinegar base, like something more acidic. Sometimes they probably do want something more sugar based, glucose based. But oh, that's the people fault. Okay. But as long as it's around them and they have the ability to uptake it, I think they cool. Okay, so
plants.
Whoa. Oh yeah, I gotta fix this screen. It came in huge. My fault. This is gonna take me a minute. Hold on, let me crank some music while I'm doing that, because I always be forgetting to do that. Kind of helps with the air portion of it. So let's see here. There we go. Now I can better shrink the screen down. Oh, it's not as bad as I thought. That last little shrinkage really helped. Because sometimes this is like 3 times larger than the screen. And shrinking it down takes some time. And, you know, I'm using like 10% of the screen in the OBS system. So yeah, I got you. Now, he was just spitting so much knowledge. This is knowledge droppings from on the Future Cannabis Projects channel. Get the other dude who's in here, but he's my man too. I really like him. Most of these people on Future Cannabis Projects are on Dagger Farms. They're farmers and they sell their seeds there. But they all like using natural farming techniques. And the guy we're about to see, Clankamascoot, he started out in the web forum days. Before there was really even video channels, there was typing channels, typing sites. So that's where his name Clankamascoot kind of comes from, the days of typing, 2006 type stuff. Dang, 20 years ago at this point. So he's basically, he gave his resume. He was like a Christmas tree nursery dude in Oregon. So that's how he's able to source all these nutrients to grow things. He gets aloe vera straight from the Rio de Janeiro, the vermicompost, the like earthworm castings he gets straight out of Oregon. Oregon or Washington, I believe. But a lot of the things that he used, that inspired Jeremy Silver from Builder Soil. So I think later on he jumps on this stream. This was 5 hours. I just let you know now, Future Cannabis Project don't play. They'll throw a bunch of people on and they'll talk for a long time. Now I'm not saying that in a negative way at all, but a lot of these are just a barrage, a Gatling gun of just how to grow. So buckle up. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
Directions that it went in good and bad ways. Attila the Hun probably wouldn't be on everybody's, person you'd want to go have for dinner or something. But so the way I got into it is, I knew from bread baking, what we call artisan bread baking here in the United States, is that in particular, it's almost limited to French bakeries. They add what is called diastatic malt. I never questioned what it was. I couldn't tell you at that time what diastatic.
My fault. So I guess I started where he started to break down his mix. I wanted to get it before he mixes the vermicompost to kind of give it a little bit of context, put it in the frame. He's talking about basically using beer grain, beer malt as part of his mix. And I'm guessing he's going to explain how many hundreds of fungi are in it. But this is the Clankamascoot guy I was talking about. What's the dude? Not Aaron, because I don't want to say Aaron Dunham. But that's not his name. Who's on this podcast with him. But the compost, the beer malt, And he's going to get to the vermicompost next, but the additives he used to make his soil mix. And he's talking about growing like 10-pound plants, but he was doing this in like the 70s and stuff too. Oh, does that mean you can't hear, dude? Oh, Clankamascoot soil mix, which is available at Builder Soil. This is years before it was available at Builder Soil, and he's explaining what it is right here, the different inputs that he uses to make the soil. It's like a third vermicompost. He's talking about like 20% barley and something else. It's very limited. It's like 4 ingredients, but he was inspired from super soil. Was a question mark that you can't hear this, Paul? Can you hear this? Put I guess 1 in the chat if y'all can hear this. Okay, cool. Slight delay. Okay.
Static meant. I didn't even know what malt meant.
Okay, cool.
I had some remote idea that was old-fashioned ice cream drinks in the 40s or something, you know. So one day I'm out hiking in
happening, Pops?
One of our national forests up here, ancient forest, and there was a clearing. So I saw that I had some email, and I just looked at it to see what it was, and then I started thinking about this diastatic malt thing. So I looked it up, and it was barley malt. And what all malt means is that you allowed the seed to germinate. As opposed to sprouting. There's a difference I learned.
What's the classification? Is it like less than a quarter
inch?
Yeah,
he's my man.
An inch?
Yeah,
he's about to put his camera on, but that's my man.
In the commercial malting houses, and here's how precise it is.
He's got some energy.
Even the big companies, when they were in business, Anheuser-Busch subcontracted their malting. Malting houses, there isn't any food item that humans consume that is done with the amount of precision as malting grain, because you might like a shitty beer, like some beer that's not very good, we'll say. But damn it, you want it to taste the same when you go on vacation, right? It's got to taste the same in Miami as it.
Okay. Homogenization. And he's right about that. Well, I'll probably say maybe coffee would be next, but I guess they're shitty coffee. But yeah, beer, I know that, yeah, to make beer malt, they basically take barley, let it germinate, like try and sprout it. Once it gets about a centimeter out of the grain husk, they stop that process instantly and start to kiln it, like bake it at whatever temperature, heat it to get the desired roast that they're looking for, to get the desired color and flavor that they're looking for. So what, there's only about 3 different grains that go into like the black coffee roast malt portion, which is a high short roast. Very little sugar is left. Then there's the caramelized or like crystal malts to give you sweetness, which is basically what the yeast eat the sugar in order to convert sugar into alcohol. That's how that process is done. Then you've got your base malts or your lighter malts that start out with like a Budweiser color, even lighter than that. But that's where the precision he's talking about comes in. It's a specific time, it's a specific temperature, and it has to be evenly done. And they do it with like, a foot layer at a time, like a floor, as they say, floor malts with barley. So it's a warehouse room full that they're basically roasting that's got to be precise. They're on it.
As in Portland. And the only way that you can control that phenomenon is by having absolute scientific control over the malting process. And for example, the biggest malting operation in North America is Great Western Malt.
Okay.
And I believe they only have like 4 locations. One of those is here in Portland, well, actually across the river in Vancouver, for the Asian market. So the beer that's made in China that comes from Oregon and Washington grown barley. This is Barley Central. You can look up the website barleyworld.org.
You say he lived by
That's a
Mount Hood
from Oregon State
and that's
University.
hops.
That's how big the crop is, because
Pacific
the human race drinks
Northwest
a lot of beer.
IPAs, like he's in
You
that
gotta
land.
have good malt and high enzyme levels. And so when I started digging around the science on what enzymes were in these grains, the one that stuck out to me was chitosan.
Okay.
And
that sounds like some of the stuff that was in the green
because
sand.
of its properties as far as a defense against insects in the soil, that deconstructs the shell, preventing the larvae from developing.
Okay. So now he's talking about pest control in the soil from the beer malt. And he learned that from baking. Like I was able to incorporate my malting into gardening because of beer making. So that's how I basically stumbled upon it in the same way. And he's right, in the garden, it's extremely effective. Now I see I did a bad job of splicing this, but like I basically, he don't care. When's he gonna get to the vermicompost
There's others
part?
in there, like for protease, for proteins, urate, urea, phosphatase, phosphorus. You get the idea. There's over 360 different enzymes and approximately 50 identifiable strains of fungi. And
Okay, I have misquoted that for so long. I've said it's 300 species of fungi. Okay, it's 300 enzymes, which makes more sense to converting starch into sugar, hence the beer part. And 50 different fungi. So that makes sense, because there's like grain beetles or whatever that are in it. You'll notice if you ever see grain or been by a beer grain mill where they crack the whole intact barley to be able to let water to seep into it to get the starch out, which is converted into sugar, which is converted into alcohol. You'll see little trails run through, like somebody took a pencil head and basically ran it through the dust of the grain or something like that. But that's actually, what is it, cigar beetles, I think they call it. But they're in like spice, they're in everything. But that lets me know that there is enough substance to keep life going. You put that into the soil, like basically anything that has lived, you put that back into the ground. Basically, it's about getting carbon into the ground. Nature will take care of the rest. That's what composting has taught me. Okay, like the soil food web, KNF, basically get the carbon into the ground, cover crop it. That helps with soil retention, and make sure your fungi life, like don't disturb that. Soil food web, IMO, mulch, and cover crop. And like literally, I think nature will do about 90% of the work, or biology will do 90% of the work, however you want to look at it. And it's just about you kind of keeping the moisture level correct. If you can, you basically the water boy. That's high quality H2O. Make sure you get some high quality H2O on it, and yeah, you're good to go.
over 200 identifiable strains of bacteria. And in the soils, those enzymes, in conjunctions with the microbes, deconstruct the organic materials, and it's their feces exude, whatever you want to call it. That's what worms consume. And when it goes through their digestive tract, it's turned into castings and not manure. And those castings are covered literally with a slime of calcium carbonate.
Okay.
That's why people who use worm castings, you'll never hear them complaining about pH. It
Exactly.
arrives correct pH in the form of the worm castings.
Hey, you're okay. You just gave out a lot of information. And all of it really, really good. I want to take a step back and identify.
Hold on. Like I've seen this before. And the reason he's off camera now is because when he's fucking Brainy Smurf back there, he's got his notepads out. He's got like all his like how to grow books. He's got like a pile. Same way I got my laptop. He's got so much stuff. So he's off camera like jotting down what the hell dude's saying. Cause he's just such a junkie for growing information. But yeah, I like the keep it simple method. Not necessarily there is a company that says that, but I mean the less that you have to do, I think the easier it is to approach any kind of growing. And let the genetics take the wheel. I think I might try and coin that one instead of the Lord. But yeah, let the genetics take the wheel. After you get the barley in there, you get the vermicompost in there, and your other base ingredients, however you feel, whatever tickles your fancy, you're good to go. You're ready to plant, and you should have no problems. That's really what it's all about. Yet again, I don't know, somehow I stumbled upon grow your own as the theme of all these live streams. Yet again, the greatest growing live stream on the internet on Sunday.
One of the things that you started talking about, because I don't think I fully understand it. So how do the enzymes like amylase and cellulose and chitinases and phosphatases and how do these things on a molecular level break down sugars or proteins and stuff like that?
And Jim, wait, just quickly before you start.
That was actually a good question. And this, I guess, also goes back into why I don't give a crap that deep. Is that literally, what is it? The soil food web is just a chain of things eating other things, and they eat other things, and they eat other things, and they eat other things. And basically, each one will feed the other. So the plant has its own enzymes or hormones, whatever, to break down material. Also, the soil has its own. In conjunction with each other, the insects, the nematodes, the vermicompost, they can all feed each other as a buffet. So once we've got the nutrients in there, that's cool. Now the next problem is to not OD off of the nutrients. Don't get fat. Don't get toxic. So this is where the vermicompost, the barley, organic farming all kind of comes in. It's a pH balance. It's a pesticide preventative balance that keeps the plants healthy so they're invisible to plants, as they say. Now people are going into bricks, which is another beer term. It's basically sugar content. Like, there's Fahrenheit and Celsius. There's what the OG, original gravity of a beer, final gravity of a beer, which is basically how you check the alcohol content with a thermometer, but it's an alcohol thermometer. And then the bricks, you basically take a drop of liquid and put it under this telescope, basically, and it tells you how it's a refractometer. By how much light comes in, tells you how dense it is and how much alcohol it is. And I believe it's a little more accurate than using the handheld thermometer thingy. A hydrometer, that's what it is. A hydrometer is the like handheld version, the manual version, and then I would say the bricks would be the digital version. You're basically checking how thick things are. And so what people do is take the cannabis leaves, crush the leaf to get the juice out of it, that drop that you need, and measure it in the refractometer, and that tells you how much sugar content is in it. Once it reaches, I believe, it's low, like 12. I think once it reaches the bricks of 12, which would make it a 4% beer, it's invisible to insects. So this is how you get to those kind of results. The natural farming, the barley, the vermicompost, they have a lot of pathogenic properties, anti-fungi properties. The good fungi is what they do have.
I want to troubleshoot. Your audio is a little choppy sounding.
All of y'all are choppy.
Could you kill the earphones, like disconnect the Bluetooth and see if just talking into the iPad?
And how do these things,
okay, there we go,
on a molecular level,
I'll try and skip you through that.
break down sugar?
Yeah, I gotta go again. My eyes is floating, baby.
And Jim, wait, just quickly before you start, I want to troubleshoot. Your audio is a little choppy sounding. Could you kill the earphones, like disconnect the Bluetooth and see if just talking into the iPad changes that?
Okay, how's that?
All right, keep talking.
Okay, so I'm looking at the Magic Mouse box I picked up from Apple Store yesterday.
All right.
That does sound a little better.
All right,
let me do something real quick. Hold on. I'm going to turn the AirPods off.
Okay. We need our like hold music right now.
I picture in Office Space when that lady's answering the phone. Thank you for calling. Please hold. Thank you for calling. Please hold.
Okay. Just to make sure I'm putting them in the case, that should shut them. These are new, so bear with me.
Yeah, no, actually, this is sounding better.
Okay, so yeah, they turned off. Okay. Okay. So the enzymes are cofactors that work in conjunction with the microbes to accelerate the deconstruction. So amylase converts the simple starches.
Okay, my bad. Amylase. Now that's something I know from beer. They actually put that in to stop the they use it in wine, and it stops the no, that's pectin acid. Stops the fermentation process. But that's a major starch that helps to convert starches into sugars. Every little step of the way, I guess like a ruler, you need all of those inches to get to a foot. You need all of those meters to get to a yard. So everything plays a part in it. Definitely you as well. But he's trying to, I guess, give you the mindset of what it takes to really grow something. And he's using a byproduct of one of his hobbies to put into another hobby, which I basically had a benefit of doing. Same thing, I guess, like the worm bin. Let's not underestimate them as something that you nurture as well. To, like, basically, my worm bins are kind of small. I do keep them, but every so often I release them basically into the garden. They stay contained for the most part, but you know, there's so many. And to see the colony rebuild year after year after year, that is such a nice feeling. In the basement, keeping it cool. Yeah. Anything you can do yourself to help benefit your plants is fulfilling. And not only that, not forget the cost effectiveness of it, but you're not really going to get the vitality of the input you're putting in without doing it yourself. A lot of these things are built off of freshness, and pretty much like once you pick the apple off the tree, it's losing nutrients immediately. So making it yourself that you can freshly apply it as soon as it's ready is the best option for your plants. Sorry about that. It's choppy. Dang, I used the Ethernet cable and everything. I'm sorry about that. Okay, I kind of did see it was messing up. My son is playing Fortnite. The new season just started last night, and I think my wife is on there playing with him. So that's kind of what it is. I noticed I was the third Ethernet cable. I didn't even know there was one in there. Okay, sorry. Yeah, that's Clankamascoot. He has a lot of interviews on his own on the YouTube. But this is Future Cannabis Projects. This is probably from about 6 or 4 years ago.
In the
Yeah, sorry about
plant
that.
material, right, into a form that the simple sugars that the roots can absorb, because roots have to work on a molecular level on everything. They don't absorb or accumulate compounds. So when we add, as an example, a calcium carbonate, so you have one calcium ion, you have one carbon ion, and then you have 3 oxygen. Well, those are broken apart. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, my fault. And I also thought about I am blaming my internet. I'm going to definitely take my part, but I forgot this interview was very choppy. This was like right before COVID, around COVID. They did quite a bit of stuff, so it might also be this. He just requested before I left to go whiz to him to take his headphones out, so they were having audio problems during this. I was hoping it was better. Definitely could be me, but I like everything he's saying. And like I said, this is 5 hours. He's got his own interviews, like besides this one on Future Cannabis Projects. He's got his own soil mix from Build a Soil. And I think he also just worked with, I forget who he worked with, because I saw an interview like a year ago where he's actually coming out with the seeds that he's talking about growing in this podcast, which is kind of funny. But he contracted with somebody to get his own strain out there. It's like some 1960s weed.
The plant doesn't take up calcium carbonate as a compound.
Yes, that totally makes sense.
Okay. And so your urease, urea.
This is the.
So we got the rumblers.
Go ahead.
Thank you, rumblers.
No, in the case of
urease,
that's where we get the ammonia smell, obviously, and poorly constructed compost. A way to fix that is to add a lot of barley to your marginal compost and move it from a 6 to an 8 or maybe 9 with just the addition of barley malt.
Okay, that's good to know. Because I'm going to say that almost reminds me of like, what's that, IMO 3 or 4, where you start to incorporate more grains into it. Like basically the bacteria, the fungi are looking for fats to eat. And there's a lot of fats, sugars inside of these grains. And especially around the plants. That's why if you go by roots, a lot of times there's a lot of worms around it. It's a trade-off. The plants pretty much excrete a lot of sugars. The plants, I guess, give them salts. The earthworms are also going for the sugars and excreting like carbon, calcium carbonate, as he said, which helps with the uptake of the nutrients to the plant, and also helps with the like air density, the soil density, moisture retention around the plant, like this ability to suck things up. It makes the rhyosphere It's very important in that as well. It loves beer. Yeah, beer. What the hell? Like there would be a lot of lactobacillus on it, possibly Brettanomyces. Like the difference in that is lactobacillus. If there's sour beer category, which uses wild outside yeast to get it, not beer yeast, so it gives it a little different taste. Lactobacillus, like in yogurt, it'll give you that yogurty kind of coating taste to ferment the beer. And then Brettanomyces kind of is more like a funky, sweat socky smell. But that's abundant on the beer grain. So at that point, it's not necessarily what we want, but as far as bacterial life for the plants to use, that's definitely something you'd want. The more the merrier. Diversity, diversity, diversity.
And some of the other enzymes in there, the protein, all the things that were in there. What you're probably starting with manure. That's a most typical, probably the path of least resistance, is to start with a manure or manure-based compost. Add the barley, and now it's ready to go through the worm bins because you remove those agents which are going to suppress the worm colonies.
Okay. So I forgot to mention that as a caveat. His philosophy is everything goes through the worm bin. So even if he makes compost, he's going to feed it through the worm bin. And I guess that's also one of the mental things to keep it fun, keep it fresh. It has to be this, it has to be that. So it's something else to consume the time besides just watching a plant grow. And he literally feeds food to the worms. Not the kitchen scraps, because our vegetables really are nutrient dense for us, so you're not going to get much out of. He's going to get the same spill. I'm just going to do a bad job.
I see. So are there certain enzymes then that suppress the worm colonies and then certain enzymes that benefit the worm colonies?
No, because worms, contrary to the mythology,
I'm wrong.
Worms can't eat anything. They lack teeth.
Okay. I was going to say I'm wrong. I was going to say I thought that when I have seen things about making a worm compost bin and feeding them, you can't feed them citric things. You can't feed them dairy things. You can't feed them meat. It's like a list of 10 things that they necessarily shouldn't put into the worm bin. And I guess it's not a thing of they're going to eat it. They probably won't, and they'll probably stay away from it. So it's a waste to put it in there. Is I guess I'm looking at it in the wrong way.
And more importantly, they lack a stomach. What they have is a digestive tract that works with other enzymes that they create, and some that come from the materials as it's moving through. They also exude enzymes
I'm not voting for
trigger
Kamala.
specific microbial reactions. And in that, what they do is they suck in the bacteria, their manure, their exudes, whatever term we want to use here. So in that tract, in the worm's digestive tract, through enzymes, that manure now is converted to casting. Not all worms create castings. That's really there's composting worms, and then there's earthworms.
Mm-hmm.
You can't keep earthworms. They'll die within a week. On the same token, if you put composting worms into your garden, for reasons that escape me, their chances of surviving or thriving are really marginal. It's best.
Now, I don't know. Okay, the reason I do that is, like I said, because I feel that because of the size of my worm bin, I have too many inside of the bin. When I thoroughly try and collect the castings and everything, yes, sometimes they'll be all over the place. So I'll do it outside. I'll let the red wigglers go. I notice, especially since I try to make that stone pathway through the garden, so I'm not necessarily stepping on the soil every time. I'm stepping on kind of the same spot. If that compacts, just get away from it. But the rest of the garden should be loose. even when I step on those little stone pads, I'll see it's like, what do they call it? A horror movie. It'll be worms coming out all over the place. So if I move a root from something in the garden, the Jerusalem artichokes or something, it'll be a massacre. So I'm not going to sit here and say he's wrong because he's read more than me. Definitely, I mean, it's not a battle of knowledge. Could it be a battle of circumstances? Because my soil is so clay heavy that they can't bore down but so far, and are somewhat contained. I'm not saying permanently, but it takes them a little longer to escape. Number two is what I'm seeing, just how they touch and reproduce. Am I just seeing a massive the end result of their mating is all the worms I'm seeing, or are these the same ones that are staying alive year 1, 2, 3? But I do notice that I see worms, and these are red wigglers. Like, earthworms can only get so big. So once it gets to, being like this or that, you definitely know it's a night crawler, if nothing else. So, I question that for me. I question if I'm getting different results. Like I'm the anomaly, not necessarily the rule, because I think what he's saying is the rule.
To put them in the worm bin, because that's where the action is, and get
Andre, welcome.
Perfected. And if you get to a point
Cheers.
where you have more worms than you know what to do with, and let me explain how fast worms reproduce. Okay, you're never going to have perfect conditions, but let's say that you did. A pound of
I hope you do.
Would be 1,000 pounds a year.
There's a lot of knowledge in here, Andre.
1,000 pounds. Every worm produces 2 cocoons a week, and each cocoon has 4 hatchlings, and they're sexually mature in 6 weeks.
Right.
So, I mean, think about it.
Did you say the joke?
And they live 4.5 to 5 years.
You said, perfect conditions don't.
There we go. I wanted to freeze it on that. Like, look, he's in his kitchen. He's got all his notes together. He's got his notepad going. Like, holy shit, let me get all this down. Oh, yeah, let me press record. Oh, this is a live stream. I'm okay. I can just watch it back myself. But he's really giddy about learning this information, and the fact that he's willing to learn even though he's currently growing. The love, and I guess everybody here is the same way. Especially you, Andre, coming in. This whole thing was about vermicomposting, or the whole consensus, the thread through all of these live streams is grow your own. And I love the organic, in-depth look of how to do it.
Exist anywhere on Earth, but even under, moderate conditions, they're going to produce moderately close to that and do really well. And then, so you said something that was really cool, and I wanted to talk about that too, which was you sort of said in one way or another, that which benefits the soil bed does not necessarily benefit the worm bin. In that the worms aren't necessarily going to be as happy in your soil bed as they will in a worm bin, where there's a really high level of organic matter.
Okay, so I guess that's the difference here. All right, so this is, I guess, what makes it an anomaly in my garden. Not to say that I'm special, every time I do some conceited stuff, I want to start talking about myself in the third person, but I always forget, because I think that would be funny as crap, like I'm that important. But that might be what it is. I do a lot of in-place composting. Now, of course, I have a compost pile. There's a lot of weeds just on our property. We have, my wife has a lot of land. I moved in with her, so let me, state that. But we have a lot of weeds that I can get, so I do have the ability to make a compost pile. I also have used that to make JLF. I also have the ability, because what I'm growing in the garden is extremely leafy most of the time. There's a bunch of trees around it. There's constantly something to eat on the ground. I also have a mulch layer. cover crop layer. So it's a lot down there to kind of keep I'm gonna just say a glass ceiling, a soft lid on the top. Like I said, it's very clay and hard in the bottom. I did till and amend the soil the first year. This is like year 6 now. The first year I did, but literally I probably went like this far down. It was like very, very clay. I amended it. I used the garden weasel. I tilled it and kind of left it at that. Let nature go. Once I started to get on to learning about natural farming. And what he's saying also seems like kind of what the fuck is it? It's 6 different ways to organically farm. And this seems like one of them, where we talked about this, I think last week, 2 weeks ago, where you section off your farm into 4s, and you basically keep your livestock and livestock in one section while they graze, eat, poop, stomp, make, kind of aerate the soil. You move them into the next quarter, which gives us a chance to replenish, grow, and thrive. They eat, poop, graze, and they basically walk around in a circle continuously doing that. Of course, poop is gross, but as we say, it's a matter of getting carbon and other nutrients into the ground. That's basically the game of growing plants. That's the premise of slash and burn, tilling, getting minerals back into the ground, like flipping over, tilling really isn't that with heavy machinery. That seems to be the plan universally. The game hasn't changed. Your method might be different, but I in place compost, cold composting, I guess they call it. So once a plant gets leafy, I rip the leaf off, basically drop it in place. Enough of that happens to where there is material, I think, to eat on the top. On top of that, throwing, any kind of wood chippings I get throughout the year from something that's fallen from the previous year. The compost, throwing that up there. So there is somewhat of an abundance of food there. I guess if I was to try and say my garden was a worm bin, it would probably be a very malnourished one. But from as far as me putting the inputs in there, but I think it's enough to sustain it to keep them in there. At least I'm getting 1 year out of them before they escape, and that's good enough for me. As long as they can aerate the soil, kind of drop from what's in the top to the bottom, from going up and down, up and down. That's really what I'm looking for. I think the plants and what I can do will take care of the rest.
Above 50%.
And you have really, if you're doing things correctly, which isn't difficult, you have extreme levels of microbial action. And by adding barley,
Adric, is that how you say that? Cheers.
One of the facts.
Last little sip. Cheers, Adric. Thanks for coming.
There's always pros and cons of any process as we approach to make our soils better. Composting, vermicomposting. And vermicomposting is definitely a bacteria-driven process. So that you could make the argument, a fair one, that it's lacking in fungal and other microbes. And that's fairly accurate.
Okay. So it's more nutrient based than fungal based. I get like bacterial based and fungal based. Okay. Adric, thank you for coming in. And YouTube is jumping. I'm kidding. I'm so kidding. But all these live streams about growing your own stuff. I'm coming at it from every different angle, through the window, through the chimney, from the windows to the wall. Every which way I can, front door, back door, to prove that growing your own is the best way to go. So this is Clankamascoot, and he's talking about, just to recap for the people coming in, the different inputs he used to make his own soil mix. But the main point is overall getting carbon into the ground, finding a manure and fungal-based soil to help feed the plants. he had mentioned putting barley in here, and now he's on to the vermicompost part. Sorry, my editing was bad.
That is easily resolved with the addition of barley. We're getting over 50 strains of fungi that can be identified, not just these silly plate counts. Well, I saw something moving, so I'm going to count it. Okay, I mean, like a legitimate, plate count with a real microscope, not one from Toys R Us. And
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say you don't need an electron microscope, but you need.
He was talking that, and that's going back to Matt Powers again, putting things under a microscope. So he was just making fun of people, I guess, like getting it and not really having a heart into it. But it's proven, yeah, you can put it under a microscope and tell.
Something that's more than just 20 or 50x.
Yes. But I'm not even sure that's important. Okay, this is a real life, real world example. The guy that I was his first customer to answer an ad in Craigslist, Doug at Northwest Redworms. I was the first person to show up, and at that time, he sold worms and made really beautiful worm out of plywood boxes for your patio or what have you. And he's really tight. He doesn't buy anything. Everything that goes on his piles of manure is, throwaway stuff from the produce houses and stuff like that. He's also on a call list for the Oregon and Washington State Police, their highway patrols, that if there's an accident and it's a food item, he's one of the people that can be called.
Okay, he's name dropping hard right here. But this is what I appreciated when I first heard it. Like, my mother watched Alaska State Troopers, so she's aware that this even occurs in life. But like when I heard this, I was like, I never thought about that. There are people that pick up animals on the side of the road, and I know in some states you're actually allowed to use that to, I guess, feed other animals and even use it as, I guess, food for other things. So when he said that, I was like, okay, he knows like the ear to the ground people. Ear to the ground is from, I guess, the people on the street, from the ground up, organically. And this is basically the connect for Jeremy from Build a Soil. So it's nice to hear that this is like from the heart. Everything's from the heart.
A salvage, come out and get it off the highway. So one.
Wow, I never thought about that. Thanks, Paul. Yeah, hit the like button, please. That would be very nice.
Semi trucks full of oranges. I've heard of them like toppling over.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you.
And then I'm like, what happens? Do they just leave those there? But no, there's like a guy that collects them and composts.
And then your billed. Okay, so the trucking company gets a bill from the state after they've had the books from the contractor. Say you own.
Let me try and skip this inside baseball part. Okay.
I'll send you some sources, national. Because, can you imagine how much barley is malted every year?
Here we go.
I mean, and it's going all over the world. You can't even comprehend it. They have my picture in the board.
I'm not going to say it. Okay, he going a little off tangent.
There's everywhere that.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like the weed. It's kind of like the weed in the dispensaries. I mean, it's like, who smokes this shit?
Yeah.
But interestingly, I feel like there's an explosion in kind of hop cultivar varietals that are adding.
As well as the enzymes change.
We're trying to get you out the beer
As an
talk.
example, a seed is encoded with enzymes to inhibit its germination. Otherwise, a drop of water and a seed would instantly, within a day or two, begin to germinate. That would be very problematic. You couldn't store it, for example.
Okay.
So what changes the
So that's a good I don't want to say segue because that means leaving something, but a good way to piggyback on the overall thing we talk about enzymes and chains and everything's kind of a process. Everything feeds off of each other. So he's saying, you know, there's even an enzyme that stops seeds from germinating right away. And I guess that's why there's that 2-3 day lag time. Like, is we really what we doing this? We doing it? Okay, we doing it. Jailbreak, everybody get out of here. So there's that enzyme process. Once it starts to, let's literally say the taproot is tapping into the data of the soil, doing an analysis. What's in here? That's how I envision it. You know, forgive me, I'm a sci-fi dude. What's in here? Sugar. Okay, we can grow. And then it starts to make the other roots and make the root ball and so on and so forth. And, you know, hey, I'm here. You know, give me this, give me that. And they're doing the jail trading. You know, yeah, I need a picture of my wife to give to her so she don't divorce me while I'm doing 2 to 5. You know, hey, I need some cigarettes. Yeah, I need some heroin. So you're trading. Okay, I give you my lunch for a month. If you give me 2 Snickers bars, all right, I'll take those 2 Snickers bars and buy 4 cigarettes. Take those 4 cigarettes. So it's a bunch of trading, and that's how it is. People, I know Atlanta England likes to put it as a candy shop or bakery or whatever, but I think it's more funny to look at it like that. Yeah, I need a prison shank. My celly's getting on my nerves. I trade you. So that's what's kind of going on in the soil. And I know as much as Avatar gets non-mentioned or shitted on, if people do mention it, that the whole network of everything basically sounds like mycorrhizae to me, and that seems very true. That's like plant life networking to each other. You get your IMO intact, and yeah, you are able to tap minerals 10 miles away if you got that network built up. So that's the importance of all of this. And vermicompost and compost natural farming along the way will help achieve that a much more than using some kind of amendment or something synthetic. Get off the bottle, as they like to say on the what you call it, the Brian and Marco show, Future Cannabis Project.
The taproot begins to emerge, and that's why you want a good rich soil, not a make-believe soil from the garden store. If let's say that you could only afford some amount of legitimate worm castings, we'll say. If you just took your rooted cutting and surrounded it with a layer of worm castings and put that in the soil, that would be enough to give you a dramatic benefit, and certainly a motivation to get.
Okay, I'm sorry. I do know for a fact this is him. I think it was like Fire in California, which is where the dude Peter, I forget his fucking last name, who's hosting it. He's in NorCal, I think, or like Humboldt, and other dude is in Oregon. It's his internet that's glitchy. And I know around this time of Future Cannabis Project, yeah, they did have a lot of technical issues. They hired this girl, Andrea. I ain't watched it in like 2 years, to be quite honest. But I know they hired that girl, Andrea, who's in there from time to time. She does a lot of this now. So they have a lot less technical difficulties. And the show is time-stamped. Everything is a lot more professional. That's what I'm trying to say.
And make more worm castings like the one you bought.
Because I hear the clicking too. My fault, Bill.
Your problems are over. Period. You've got an intense amount of microbial colonies that work in conjunction with the enzymes and cofactors to deconstruct.
Okay. I'm sorry, Bill. And I'm sorry, everyone. Yeah, that probably is uncomfortable. I didn't even think about it like that. I don't care. Like, I'll take a lot of crap. it kind of pissed me off when I text message girls and whatnot. And they be like, I didn't understand you. Chick, you know how many typos you've had and I've had to interpret and play like what's the joint? The Wheel of Fortune on your text. Okay, maybe if I put a C here, maybe it's that. If I put an S, oh, this is what you were trying to say. You know how many times I had to read hieroglyphics and you're getting mad because I didn't put a comma somewhere? What? So I can put up with a lot. And I understand glitching and roboting out is uncomfortable. So I don't expect you to put up with it. You don't have to. That was knowledge droppings on future cannabis projects. I believe 2 future cannabis projects too. But check that out. I mean, he drops a lot of bombs. He talks about growing up from like the 60s. He was selling weed in the 70s. He ran a nursery in Oregon where pretty much that's where we get all our Christmas trees from across the country. He was talking about 100,000 trees a year is what they were selling, and having the mathematics to replace it. So, you know, the next year you'll still have so on and so forth. I guess like the 4-way grid I was talking about, you cut from here, cut from, so we talking about a mass amount of land that he was tending to. So he's full of knowledge. I mean, he was oozing so much knowledge that builder soil became a thing. Oh, that's cool, man. Yeah, you seem like a very nice grower, Wild Bill. That's cool. Hold on, yeah, let me get out of here. I almost forgot. I always forget to pump the music. Let me get to my jams. Yeah, I always forget the music when I get into this section of it. Yeah, my thought about that, but I would definitely say check that out. Anything that you can do to really get the true knowledge of growing. I don't expect y'all to sit there and listen to like a 2-hour seminar on growing or Dr. Bruce Bugsby. What is his name? He's on Mr. Grower a bunch of times. But it seems like no matter how much you know about growing, you still have to come up with some kind of product to sustain yourself because it's not enough. And like even him, he was sitting here with a 5-hour podcast, just ridiculous knowledge. You know, give me a little bit of history and everything. And he still has to, you know, he has a soil mix with Jeremy at Builder Soil. And I'm sure the kind of dude Jeremy is, it's probably like a 90-10 split or some shit like that, if, you know, not 100. And like his homage to Clankamascoot, I forget what his real name is. He started to reveal it because, like I said, he's releasing a seed line with, I don't want to say seeds here now, I really forget, but he did release his seeds. Is it, what you call it? What's the California place that it's a seed preservation? Shoot, not damn. I forget they're a freaking lab, but he. Either way, Clankamascoot has released some genetics that he's been holding on from like, I think it's some 69 Panamanian or something like that it is. And maybe some other seeds from perhaps the 70s. I kind of forget the show. But you have to find your lane to make some money. You have to come out with a product some kind of way. You need a book, you need a seminar, you need a course, you need something. And that's the only way to make it, unfortunately. Growing your product and selling it straight yourself, those days I guess are gone now. The taxation is ridiculous. Oh, no problem. I'm sorry, Wild Bill. I would say everybody, I would recommend watching that. Well, you know, it's funny. I guess you don't necessarily need to watch it as far as he's going to teach you much more than you know, but it does give you a lot of the science behind the methods that you're using and why the methods that you're using are reaping the results that they are. I'm going to cue up the next video. So it's like 21 minutes left. I did want to try and be motivating for the most part because I know these, like growing, I guess the people just really seems off the wall and something that is just too out there. Yeah, okay. I at least want to get this screen up there. So let's see what we got here.
Cardinal Parameters of plant health and vitality.
Okay. But the nice part about everybody coming in here, realistically, why I get so stoked is because mostly everybody in the chat, which I truly appreciate. Yeah, I love to see y'all come in and interact. What makes me happy about that is everybody in here has no problem, you know, rolling their sleeves up and putting their money where their mouth is and working to get the results that they want. Taking pride in, you know, if you're going to do a job, make sure you do it well. And everybody kind of exudes that. The open-mindedness that there is something I can learn. There is a way. And if I follow this way, it can be done. Of course, tweak it. I would definitely say not everything is a one size fits all. That's why I never try and market anything like that. But believing in yourself, I guess, is the overall thing. Knowing that, hey, if I do this, I just follow the recipe, I can do this. And eventually you're going to be able to get off script. That's experience, and that's where you get confidence. And a lot of the people in here, I've seen your results. And yeah, that experience, I mean, that draw drops people. I'm very impressed. I don't think I'm the greatest grower. As a content creator, there is a bit of you have to be a character and you try and be as much as yourself as you can. So I'll say, like, at least on my thumbnails or the reason I create videos, it's kind of like, oh, it's this character. Look at what I did. I don't necessarily really feel like that. I know that, hey, I enjoy growing. I know there's other people out there who enjoy growing, so check this out. This is what I did. This is my little formula. This is the drink I made. Boom. Look at it. Have a sip. And other people the same way. You want a drink, sir? Gotcha. Try my mix. All of them are good. I'm in no way the best, but trying to do the best that I can with the circumstances that I had. We are working with different temperatures, different humidities, different environments, but we all have the same, we need to grow this the best that we can and make the plants as happy as we can mentality. That's important. I did notice something overall when watching this, especially the beginning portion when it was like the Cornell stuff and the more scientific research, that there was this need to quantify results. Put it into terms is what I'm saying. These kind of microns, this many microbes. And I'm kind of more so on a invisible belief with things. Kind of like trust, I guess is the most simple way to do it. I don't necessarily have to tell you things, but I'm expecting at least this certain level. And the same thing with growing. I expect at least this certain level. I'm going to be doing certain things that, you know, should at least get me to this base level. So to everybody out there, KNF, organic farming, fertilizing, composting, that's what I meant, not fertilizing. But with your own compost out there, taking pride in what you do, it's a hobby. It's something you can show off. Something that actually gives you a real medicinal benefit. I like to look at it as something that helps me build myself in a way. The whole puffing your chest out is look how big my plant is. The whole reality behind the scenes, the humility is how I like to look at it, is trimming all of that off. Like, okay, you want to brag, this better look like a photo when you're cutting it. And that keeps everything in perspective, so to speak. So that's why I even brought up the whole character thing. You know, yeah, like, look at this plant. But realistically, I'm shaking in my boots because I know I got to trim that in like 2 months. But I appreciate everybody showing up. I'm glad, like, Bill, nice. I honestly think that's like 2 trim sessions. I know, Paul, you had one, but that's rewarding, isn't it? Not only is it, I guess the reason I had problems with growing vegetables, I ain't necessarily going to eat that. I'm definitely smoking this. So that's really the joy of it, and I can't wait to smoke it. So as far this year, I don't know. The dieselberry is not as impressive as I wanted it to be. It has been curing this whole time. I had a J this morning, and I was like, okay, this is it. It's the gas. It's the it's blueberry. It's like blueberry and gas. And I taste that aoxin, like the purpling in it. So it's very nice. That's what I was looking for. But it's not as pungent as I wanted it to be. And I think it's not even necessarily the cure part. It's the whole growing thing. It seemed like it was not getting as big as it needed to be. Like it's usually about that size. I grow it indoor and outdoor to kind of get the best of both worlds. I've heard that, you know, if something was bred indoors, it's going to do bad outdoors. And if it grew outdoors, you really can't grow it indoors because it's going to go crazy. So I've tried to go back and forth with both to kind of, I guess, give it some kind of container in its genetics. But the octane, that came out exactly how I wanted it to. Now the problem with that is, now that I've hunted the correct one, I got a clone of it. But I'm going to try and reverse it so that it feminizes itself. But that's going to start me back at square one. I'm going to have to sift through seeds and generations to get it to what it is right now, and I like it, but in a female only form. Same thing with the dieselberry. Luckily I got a clone of that as well. Not as pungent, but it gives me a chance to work on that. And once I get the seeds of that, yeah, the same thing, starting from square one. But the chocolate kush, that one is the outlier of the show pony of this season. Like right out the jar, it's dispensary, and I don't get that out of the octane haze or the dieselberry. Now I know, you know, the dieselberry was the long bushy one, and the octane haze was the long bushy one. The dieselberry was the kind of short growing. I tried to stretch out. It had the purple traits, but it seemed to be fighting. That's where I kind of grow the radishes at. It seemed to be fighting the whole time just to survive. So once I bring everything into the grow tent and start showing that, we're going to really see what we got. Oh, nice. Then also, according to Paul, it's going to take me 14 weeks for this Heavenly Haze, but we're going to sift through that. I got a couple of those in the tent now, just kind of sprouting. We're going to sift through that, get the seeds you want, and do the female process starting all over again. Now, the sucky part about this is they basically all have the same genetics in them. So it is a good possibility that with one of the Heavenly Haze seeds, I can go 2 generations back and pull those traits out without having to fish through the other 2 traits. But that would be like getting struck by lightning twice and winning a lottery. We'll see, but I'm of course going to document all of it. Seems bushy. It kind of was. The main thing I can say overall is because I've basically just been topping the original genetics I start with. I started with Strawberry Haze and Original Haze. 3 generations, excuse me. F3. I mixed Purple Haze. Went from Purple Haze, 3 generations. Then I mixed Original Haze. And all of them shits is bushy. But I noticed the bud structure and kind of the overall structure of the plant, like the height restriction, definitely. The Afghani won't go away. Now, the reason, like Octane Haze is almost an oxymoron, but I noticed I was able to capture gas and earth. Earth is the sativa, like the haze part, and the gas is the octane part, like the diesel part. And they can actually X each other out. You really can't have something gassy that tastes earthy, and you can't have something that's super earthy that's got gas in it. So it's a real balance in between of it. And that's really what is the marketability of it. It's for people who like OG Kush, and I guess also like Amnesia Haze. I just really need to work on the flowering times. For the Dieselberry, for like 2-3 generations, I was able to get it within like the 7-week mark, which impressed me, which made me think, okay, this got marketability. Purple also. The Octane Haze, more sativa-y effects, more hazy, earthy taste, but it grows a little bit bigger, a little bit more bushier. You're right about that. And then on the Heavenly Haze, I want that to be 7 feet tops. I think it's going to grow like the ones out there, like 15, I said 15, like 12, 10 feet. I got to cut that flowering time down to like 12 weeks, and I got to cut that height down to like 10 feet, very max. But, oh shit, what am I doing? Yeah, a couple minutes to go. I can't believe I've been streaming that long. Wow. To end on a good note, and as usual, I kind of always like to see people falling. My fault. Sunday is also the day I let my eyes rest. I don't have my contacts in or nothing. And I can't see. It's probably 2 feet away. Okay, so we can line that up a little bit. There we go. Yeah, give you the same screen as everything else. So this is the end on a good note portion. I want to thank everybody who tuned in. I love that the chat hangs out with each other the way they do. That really gives me a lot of joy, a lot of pride. Sorry. I'm trying to hold it to the end of the stream. My eyeballs is floating again. I'm going to try and make it. I hope I don't do anything crazy as I laugh at the end on a good note portion. that's the whole key right there to try and get, I guess, sativa effects with Afghani bud structure, like a pine cone that will just have you tripping and forgetting time exists. I don't know if I necessarily have that balance, and I don't know how necessarily like a universal market is for it. As far as me trying to grow it, like I definitely love that idea, but I think people are on Afghani like falling asleep, banging their head against the wall stuff more than they are being uppity and enjoying life. I think everybody wants to just kind of forget life is here and something to the couch. I could be wrong about that, but that's really what I'm going for. I'm trying to get as much as these old cerebral, uppity, sativa, jovial, warm feeling effects as I can with a short flowering time and like the colors and the flavors that I'm looking for. And that's the balance. So let's see here. We're going to end on a good note.
Go down by that street light.
Okay, cool. Just want to make sure everything was up. You know how my audio issues are. The world's greatest growing stream on the internet, net. On Sundays at 10 a.m. Yeah, thank you all. I'm going to try and get a little less serious, but it's so much information, I feel that I have to tuck the tie. But laughing is my pastime when I'm not growing. I'm not growing and working, I'm laughing. From the Three Stooges to what, This Is the End. Yeah, I'm laughing. So here we go. I'm going to try and end it on a good note for y'all. And of course, greatest streamer ever.
You hurt yourself, haven't you, you freak?
Hurt yourself, please. Oh, he's drunk?
Oh, don't.
Oh, that ain't that bad. I want to see him fall down the step.
What is he doing?
I didn't get it. I don't like the vertical shot. There we go. That's more like it. Get up and fall again. Yeah, I don't like the vertical shot.
Oh my god. How's the breeze?
Se cayó.
Like I felt worse than that when I was a kid. I wanted to see somebody like butt bounce down the steps and then like do a somersault on accident. Here we go. Oh no, that wasn't good. Oh, we don't get copyright struck for the music. Oh yeah. There we go. Oh, I wish she had her head into the wall like I see in the cop videos when the people drunk and they getting arrested at the police station. Yeah, I think that's copyright. That's too much in a row. I didn't know they was gonna have a funky beat behind it. That's okay. I'll take it. As long as you reacting to it and being transformative. I don't like the black and white either, actually. I just wanted to see somebody straight up get hurt. Deep bruising, not broken bone. There we go. Kill the music. Oh, that was it? Oh, that was terrible. Move all the way over. Make it look good for the end. Oh, that was terrible. Yeah, I think, that's, so what's that, like 5 bad out of 11? I think I'm going to need to pre-screen these. Thank you, Wild Bill. So I want to thank everyone. You be safe. Grow your own. I appreciate you so much for coming in here. Yeah, I think next week we're going to do the harvesting live stream. You all enjoy yourself. Have a great week. I'll see you next time. You enjoy yourself, because I know I did, fellow Cannabisians. Thank you all for coming in. Do this.
Don't be such a square. Everybody who's anybody drinks.
And now.